Good evening, all of you. I'm Dr. Praveen Kumar. I'm the Dean of School of Commerce and Management of Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai, India. This is part 2 of my session on subverting the paradigm. Talking about a few stalwart entrepreneurs who subverted the paradigm. First on my list is Steve Jobs, a college dropout, and often who did not have any financial resources nor a proper college degree. But look at what he did. 1984, he introduces Mac. Though there were personal computers, Mac computers were different. It was because it had graphic user interface. Steve Jobs understood that a personal computer will reach households and not be merely a computing machines that are used in corporate houses. And you cannot expect everybody to learn coding to work on them. You'll have to make ordinary people, the common man and woman, to use these machines, for which there should be graphic user interface. So every time I cannot key in, he introduced something called the mouse. And he was the one who introduced icons. In fact, one of the books of Steve biography is called an icon, because he was the one who introduced icons, the pull-down menus. In fact, Steve Jobs asked this question to his engineers: why should a computer look so boring? It is square in shape, white in color, but it looks so boring. Forget about using it. The very physical look at it, it's so boring. So Steve Jobs said, Mac computers have to be colorful. Add a lot of color to it and add a lot of curves to it. The designing engineer in him, though without a formal degree, was always alive. So the excellent designs of Apple are equivalent to Apple products being luxurious. However, the cost of manufacturing of these products is not very high, but the profit margin that the company makes for each product is very high, because Apple's products are equated with luxury. 2001, the iPods. I had already told you the Japanese were very good in miniaturizing. Anything the Americans invent, they'll miniaturize. So the Americans introduced the stereo systems. It was miniaturized by Sony as Walkmans. Akio Morita and Ibuka, the two founders, miniaturized the stereo system, the tape recorders, as Walkmans. For the first time, an American miniaturized a Japanese product. The Walkmans, which were already a miniatured version, were further minimized as iPods with better quality. When he was ousted from Apple in 2006, he went out and started Pixar Animation Studios, giving a whole new life to the world of animation films. And they had no other option but to call back Steve Jobs to Apple Computers. He joined back in 2007, only to come with a very big bang of introducing the iPhones. Until 2007, the best phones in the market, the most expensive ones, were called the BlackBerry. And the BlackBerry had the QWERTY keyboard, the entire keyboard. Steve Jobs said, this is too complex. Make it user-friendly. Change the design of it. Generally, what do we do with things? I do it with my fingers. So create me a phone which has just one button, and that should be the power button. All thing else I'll have to do with my fingers. Today this is so obvious to us. But in 2007 it was a revolution. Did we imagine that each of us will be holding a supercomputer in our hands? That is what Steve Jobs gave to this world. A supercomputer in your hands called iPhones. Today, even after his death, the numero uno brand in mobile phones is still Apple. 2010, the iPads were introduced. Steve Jobs, a legacy, a person who subverted all paradigms, a true inspiration. There were these two research scholars, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They were doing their PhD research, and the topic of their PhD thesis was the anatomy of a large-scale hypertextual web search engine. Before they could submit their thesis, they had published it as an article. Now, generally, in Stanford, the articles published by faculty would be the trending, would be the most read ones. But for the first time, this article written by Larry Page and Sergey Brin was on the top because it was about a search engine, totally new. They implemented it and they called this Google. Today, Alphabet, the parent company of Google, is a trillion. The most visited page on earth is this search engine page called Google. And did you notice the most visited page on earth does not have any advertisements on it? It has a lot of white space with just the brand name Google written on top of the search bar. It is because people who want to start their day would want to start on a clean sheet of paper. You do not cram that space with a lot of advertisements. So these are the things that we need to learn from Google. One of the best places to work with as well is Google. Jeff Bezos, a computer engineer by profession, was an avid book reader. He'll go to various bookstores like Barnes and Nobles and search for some 5 titles. However, every time he visited bookstores, all 5 or all 6 titles wouldn't be available because a brick and mortar shop has its own space constraints. So Jeff Bezos thought, why not I start selling books online so that we never tell a customer that these books are not available when they visit the actual physical site. We'll create a virtual site. And even if the books are not in stock, we can always procure that and send it to the customers. So Amazon started as a book retailer, or better, a book e-tailer. And this became a hit. And he put a lot of hoardings just opposite to Barnes and Nobles or other bookstores, saying, unable to find these titles, they are all available at Amazon.com. Gradually, people stopped visiting bookstores and started to buy them on, because the cost of buying these books, the price of it were less compared to a physical brick and mortar store, because you save a lot of money on your overhead and display cost expenses. So it was a deal. And Amazon also had windows where you can share your experience, give star ratings, which was very useful to buyers who are trying to make a choice. Based on the reviews, people found it helpful whether to buy and read that book or not to read that. He was experimenting it. It could have gone wrong, but it went very well. Thereafter, gradually, Jeff Bezos said, why not we sell other things as well at Amazon? Today you get everything from your daily needs, all Amazon Fish to the supercomputers. Everything is available at Amazon. Look at their very brand logo. Between A and Z, there is a yellow swoosh, an arrow, which means you get everything from Amazon from A to Z. So that is the creative element. In 2018, Amazon has also started to introduce physical retail outlets in many cities in America, because though virtual buying gives you a lot of advantages, instant gratification is missing in them. That you get it only in a physical retail outlet. So they want to have the best of both the worlds. So they're going to continue their virtual business and also side by side have these physical stores wherein there are products which has to be touched and felt, and people looking in for instant gratification go to these physical retail outlets to buy them. In fact, Amazon has understood the nature of human beings. Even as hunters and food gatherers living in the caves, we used to hunt and collect things and hoard them in the caves, because it increased your chances of survival when you had more food, and when you had very many attractive things, it helped you to attract a mate. So this primal feelings in us are today capitalized. Buying things, hoarding them in our houses, while sitting at the comfort of your couch. Amazon has beautifully understood the human needs and has found a very creative way in satiating that. That way, they subverted a paradigm. Let's talk about our own people, Arunachalam Muruganathan. In fact, a Hindi movie called Padman was released based on his story. Arunachalam Muruganathan said, why are Indian women not using sanitary pads? Because it was very expensive. Why were these expensive? Because they were manufactured using machines that were exported and cost up to $35 million. So Arunachalam Muruganathan said, can't we use Jugaad and create and simplify these machines here in India? He started working towards that. and he brought down the cost of each machine, which were priced at 35 million, to a mere 60,000, making sanitary pads affordable. Today, these machines are put in open source, and there are so many women who are benefited by manufacturing it as entrepreneurs and selling them, and benefited is by using them and becoming hygienic. This is PC Mustafa, who reinvented the way idli and dosa batter are sold. In ID's idli and dosa batter, which created a revolution in the ready-to-eat segment. This has no preservatives or additives in it. He introduced a very innovative system, experimented, toyed with that idea of keeping these idli and dosa batter in vending machines, wherein you need not, there was no retailer to take the money and give the goods to you. It was kept in communities, in gated communities, wherein a dump box was kept and no cameras to watch you. All that you need to do is take whatever you want and pay the money by yourself without nobody watching it. And this experimented was a roaring success. He trusted people and people were honest. Everyone, practically everyone who took ID's idli dosa batter paid for it. And with this success, he introduced a lot of other things like ready-made chapatis and parotas. Thereafter, he introduced the vada batter. Now there was a problem here. This hit a roadblock. Now the vada here need to have a hole at the center. Otherwise, people will not accept it as vada. So how did he solve it? This was the packaging style which solved this problem of having a hole at the center. Look at the packaging. So now with this kind of creative packaging, all that you need to do is squeeze the dough into the hot oil and you get perfect round shaped vadas. This is Ponnudurai, a school dropout. He was working in a grocery retail outlet. He had a very small grocery retail outlet. And he gave up his job as a clerk in a collector's office and he started his own grocery retail outlet. One day there were two people talking just outside his retail outlet. They were saying, one was saying, well, your problem is so complex, it is as complex as removing dates from the seeds. Seeds from the dates. Now this stuck Ponnudurai. Is it so difficult to remove seeds from the dates? And those days, you will remember, dates were not sold in a very hygienic manner. They were sold in push carts, flies flying all over. Now, unlike a fruit or a vegetable that can be washed in water and be consumed, dates cannot be washed. It has to be eaten raw without washing. And dates were sold in push carts only during some temple festivals or on special occasions. It was not available daily. And people who loved the taste or were health conscious did not want to buy those dates because of the flies flying around. And the pushcart vendor would have also poured a lot of oil on it to make the dates look very glossy. Now Ponnudurai carefully selected dates which were very clean processed it, removed seeds, and put them in small plastic packaging. And he started to sell them in a retail outlet. It became a very popular product, and soon the shelves in which these dates were sold were becoming empty. So he started to sell them to nearby retail outlets as well. And all of them came back for more orders. Now he said, I need to brand this. And he was reminded of his first standard book, Tamil book, which had the picture of a lion. And the translation was Singham. He picked that picture and he had that as the brand name. Lion Dates today is 100 crore brand exporting dates even to Middle East countries, apart from the several other countries to which they export dates. This is Karsanbhai Patel. He was very passionate about chemistry. He, like Ponnudurai, was also a government clerk. Gave up his job because he wanted to pursue his passion. However, there was no space to set up his small laboratory. There was his neighbor who saw how passionate Karsanbhai Patel was and said, why don't you use my car shed? You clean it up and use it. Karsanbhai Patel was elated. He went to the car shed, cleaned it. It was dilapidated and very bad shape, but he cleaned it. And he set up his small laboratory there. Now the question here was, why was detergent powders so expensive? One brand that was popular during those days was Surf. And Surf was very expensive, meant only for the super rich. The ordinary Indians used the local detergent bars, 1 rupee per bar. So Karsanbhai Patel started to work on this particular detergent. Instead of exporting it from countries like Germany, he wanted to make them here in India. Eureka, one fine day, he hit upon the formula and he started to manufacture washing powder, of course in very small quantities. He also packed them in small plastic bags, kept all of them in a basket and took it around to the neighboring villages in his bicycle. And he would say, "These are value for money, cheaper than your detergent bars. Why don't you try?" And the rural folks, after a lot of convincing, started to buy this and they started to use. At one point of time, his brand, which is called Nirma, after her daughter, named after her daughter, at one point of time became the largest selling washing powder in the world, not just in India. So this is how Karsanbhai Patel, a person who was very passionate. When you're passionate about something, you can subvert paradigm. This is Joseph and his team, all engineering graduates who could not find a suitable job, studied about tea. Their target is today to sell 10 lakhs tea a day and have 500 different franchises. They went to places where tea was actually grown. And they noticed in places like Nilgiris, where the workers who were plucking tea leaves drank tea differently. That tea was actually very authentic and tasty. That tea did not have milk because milk was expensive. for those workers, all that they did was put some tea leaves in hot boiling water and drank that hot boiling water like black tea. It was very tasty and healthy. Likewise, they explored the innumerable variety of tea. And today, Black Echo is a great brand when it comes to tea. Kiran Mazumdar Shah, the first lady from India who went to Australia to study about brewery, because generally breweries means it is always the men who will dominate. When she came back, she developed interest in enzymes, research, biopharma, and insulin. And all of you know, India is the diabetic capital of the entire world. We are the headquarters. Because 1 out of every 5 Indian is a diabetic patient. And so, Biocon today is a great brand to reckon with. This is Mohammed Afzal. He is the one who owns Parveen Travels. Originally, when they opened the shop in 1980, they started with just 50,000 rupees. And it was rental car business. That is it. Today, their business is over 150 crores and they own over 100 vehicles. They subverted the way people travel. It is because they scaled their business, unlike many startups who failed to scale. Sharath Babu is a true inspiration. He was born in the slums of Chennai, in Ashok Nagar. His mother was earning a pittance by selling idlis in pavements. And his hut where he lived did not even have electricity. So he had to complete his studies before 6, before the daylight dimmed and became dark. He earned a scholarship because he scored very high marks both in his 10th and 12th standard. He earned a scholarship, did his engineering in BITS Pilani. Again, out of merit, he earned a scholarship and did his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Today he is the CEO of Food King Catering Services, selling idlis, the same idlis his mother sold to the corporate world. In fact, the canteen in IIM Ahmedabad is owned by Food King Catering Services. This is how you can subvert paradigms. And he is a great lesson. In 1975, Microsoft introduced operating system, thus kickstarting a software revolution in the entire world. There's a book where Bill Gates talks about himself, and when he was in his 8th grade, he was acting in a drama, a play, a very small character. When he came on stage and went back after completing his very tiny, minuscule role, there was a lot of murmuring among the students. So he came back and asked, what were they talking when I came on stage? His friend said, no, they were asking, what is this computer guy doing on stage? He was just in his 8th grade and he was recognized as the computer guy. That is the passion that any entrepreneur who subverts paradigm exhibit. This is Sanjeev Chandni. Ideas can come from anywhere. You could be sitting in a tub and have a eureka moment, or in a bus, or at a dining table. And so it was the job of a job database, idea of a job database. Now he was working for a wonderful company called GSK, and it was a multinational enterprise. He noticed something very peculiar. In the reading room in his company, all his friends and peers, when they read business magazines, they started from the last page. Because business magazine will talk about job openings in the last pages. Now this hit him hard. All of them were working for a multinational company, well paid. In spite of that, they wanted to be in the know of jobs. Even the best of best companies, people were still interested to be in the know of jobs. And these magazines were already 1 month old. So he thought, why not I create a system where people will be in the know of jobs, and it should be live. It should be updated every day, every minute. Once he went for an exhibition and he was introduced to this concept called internet. So he put both these ideas together and said, why not I start a job portal? However, at that point of time, there were no servers in India. So he hired a rental space of these servers, because while it was day during in America, it was night here in India, and vice versa. So he shared the servers. And today, Naukri.com is the most popular job portal in India. And in terms of profits, they make the most money as well. This is Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger, who introduced Wikipedia, which works on a business model called crowdsourcing. The most stolen books from libraries were encyclopedia at that point of time. An encyclopedia is not printing books. They lost an opportunity because that opportunity was grabbed by these young people, subverted the paradigm by introducing this concept called Wikipedia. With this, we'll wind up this session. Meet you again on another video session. Thank you, all of you. Godam.